everyone, welcome to today's episode of Eyes on the New Norm. So how is everyone doing? I'm looking nervous for today's episode, but I'm very excited too. Eyes on the New Norm is a nice sharing session organized by the Malaysia Junior Club. I'm Amelia Lee, your host. Malaysia Junior Club is a platform where we gather all our future leaders and create and develop them to the generation of tomorrow. Today we have a very special guest. So please share this live with all your friends and all your family. Today we are honored to have the one and only Tun Mahathir Mohamad. Tun Mahathir Mohamad is a Malaysian politician who served as the Prime Minister of Malaysia from 1981 to 2003 and 2018 to 2020. He is our mentor and is a great role model for the young generation. He is a big inspiration to all of Malaysia. Born and raised in Alor Kedah and excelled at school and became a physician. He is also the world's oldest prime minister at the age of 92. He is now 94. Let us welcome Tun Mahathir Mohamad. Hello, Ato Tun M.
Hello.
Hi, how are you today? Are you doing good?
Thank you. Yeah.
First of all, I would like to wish Tun M and Tun Siti Selamat Hari Raya Idul Fitri.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this year we are celebrating Hari Raya very differently, right?
Right.
Yeah. So how have you been celebrating your Hari Raya this year in the new norm?
Well, I've stayed at home, and members of my family visited, but one family at a time. So not too many people. We give them the time to come, beginning with my eldest daughter, and then subsequently all the other brothers and also in-laws. From morning to evening, these people came, and I entertained them as usual. And they have makan, they have lemang and pulut and all that. And but of course, it's not as like before. Before, the whole family would come, and we then grow through the motion of salam. Uh, of course, they have to salam their grandfather. So that is the way we celebrate. We wish each other uh, a good Eid al-Fitri, and we ask for forgiveness, maaf, zahir dan batin, forgiveness uh, for what we have done, what we may have done, but not knowing about it.
That is amazing because to me we have to stay safe and our health is the most important. So everyone stay safe and stay healthy. That's the most important to me.
Yeah.
So this we're celebrating like this because of a global pandemic. So what are your thoughts on this whole global pandemic?
Well, this is something that was bound to happen one day. Because when the first SARS epidemic occurred in China, I thought, because as a doctor, I understand the behavior of virus. They can um infect many people around them. The usual thing is, of course, the common cold, flu. When somebody has flu, it comes near you, you're likely to get infected. But in the case of a very active virus, it can go to many different people. It may come from the animal, but it can go to many different people. So we have to keep away from people. But
Yeah,
that is not possible. As a community, we have to meet a lot of people. So when this epidemic uh, began to spread all over the world, the first thing I thought was now people cannot travel, because if you travel, you can carry this this virus from one end of the world to another end. So the whole world will become infected. So it will, once you cannot travel, it will affect the economies of the whole world. So I felt that this may not spread beyond China. But then it went to Iran, it went to Italy, and now, of course, it is a world pandemic. And this is something that can happen with virus, very quickly transmit to other people. So we must try and keep far away from people with the virus. That is why we are confined to our home, to stay away from people. That is preventive. It's not a cure. But how can you have the whole world stay at home all the time? You want to do business, you want to play games and things like that. You have to go out. So for some time now, we have been confined to the house. And the other thing about virus is that it can only be cured through a vaccine produced for the particular virus. But to produce a vaccine takes 18 months at least, because you have to test and everything. So I realized very quickly that this is not something that will last only a week or two. I was asked to self quarantine for 14 days, but I know it was not going to be 14 days. So I'm still quarantined even now.
yeah. So if we're all quarantined and we're all in this MCO or CMCO. So how has this MCO affected you as an individual?
Well, it prevents me from doing my usual work. At first, I couldn't even come to the office. Now, for the last 1 week, I've been coming to the office, but I have to keep away from people. Some people want to see me. Mostly, I reject, but some people I have to see, but they must stay some distance away from me and not come near me.
Yeah,
So I have to limit my contacts.
yeah. But when you were not going to the office and you were staying at home, what did you do to keep yourself sane? You know, staying at home all day.
Well, normally I do a lot of reading. I do writing. I well watch TV sometimes, and I do exercise to keep myself healthy. And uh, well, my wife is together with me at home, so we talk to each other. But mainly, I read and write. I write a
Ah,
lot. I read a lot.
so are those your hobbies or is just something you do that you like?
Uh, my hobby, well, I don't have many hobbies. I like writing, I like reading, so I read a lot.
Okay. So staying at home must be very, you know, you must be very like scared of your home already. So what is the one thing you miss the most right now?
I like to drive. I normally drive, and I usually stop at some coffee shop and have a cup of coffee with my friend. But at first, they allow only one person in the car, so I drive alone. And I cannot stop at the coffee shop because sometimes people want to come and shake hands. I cannot shake hands with them. and I have to avoid crowded places. So although I drive once or twice, I drive. I don't stop at a coffee shop, but I did go to a supermarket and do a little bit purchasing things, and then very quickly go home. That's all.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. But you said about you loving driving, right? I saw a video of you driving on social media, particularly Instagram.
Mm.
It amazes me how you can keep so healthy and so fit, and you can still drive and see the road clearly. So, do you have any health secrets? Because I would love to know your health secrets.
Health secret a lot, but it's very simple. One thing that you must always remember: don't smoke, don't drink. Those two very important. When you eat, don't eat too much. Don't get fat. That's very important. You do some exercise. Don't rest too long. You must be very active, especially when you get old. You must be going around about talking to people, discussing uh, with people. Because if you don't use your brain, because you keep quiet all the time, most of your memory will be erased. But if you keep on talking about people, about friends, about events and all that, then your brain becomes active and you don't forget. So all these things you have to do. You have to be very, you must prevent yourself from getting obese. Fat is very bad. Being fat is very bad. And eat not too much. When you are old, you don't have to eat much because you are not growing. You see, so I eat a little. So one of the things I do, which people may not believe, is that I scratch my head. I scratch my head. You know why I scratch my head?
Like,
Because people get dandruff. They get dandruff. So when you bathe with warm water, you scratch your head. The dandruff will not survive. At the same time, when you scratch your head, the blood flows to the scalp. When the blood flows to the skull, then the hair can grow because there is nutrient coming from the blood. But some people they don't clean. I mean, scratch their head much, so the hair roots are not strong and they fall. Okay,
I just learned that.
it's a lot, huh?
I heard that. So that's your health secret lah. Because my grandmother always here, suck it there, and so I think this will really help her because help her memory and help her physical stuff.
Yeah. Don't
I
sleep.
I really like horse riding, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. What's your favorite thing? Why do you love horse riding so much?
Because I went to Pakistan and I was escorted by very handsome, very tall soldiers wearing red coat, and they look very handsome to me. They look very impressive. So I thought I could also look like them. So I decided to ride a horse. So I bought a horse, I bought some horses, and I rode. But of course, those were military people. That's why they sit very straight. They look very grand. But I'm not as big as them, so I don't look great at all. So anyway, I like riding because it's good exercise. It's good exercise because when you ride, you have to sit straight up. You see, you must sit straight up. If you bend like that, you get backache. So on the horse, you're sitting straight up, and that is good for your posture.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think that it's very hard, because now you cannot go horse riding.
No, yeah,
So there are people who are still going out as usual unnecessarily. So do you have any advice for the people who are not concerned about the situation in the world and like roaming around shopping and everything?
Yeah, you can do shopping, but limited. Of course, you have to do some work of your own, but as far as you can, avoid going out and avoid meeting people. Avoid meeting people because if you join a crowd, the chances are that if you have the virus, you're going to spread to other people, and other people might also infect you with the virus. It is a dangerous disease. It can cause you death, you know, especially for old people above 60, like myself. That's why I have to be extra careful because I'm old, not like you. You can survive much better than me. So I think people must be civic minded, must think about other people, not about themselves. Fortunately, we in Malaysia, in the east, we still have very great discipline. If the government tells us to do something, we will do it, and what the government tells us is very good for us. But in the Western countries, where they are very keen on freedom, they want to be free. They don't want to obey the government. They even have demonstration against the this house, we call it lockdown. You see, and they are moving about like in Brazil, in America. More people are infected now. America has got more than 100,000 people with the disease, and already 1 million, more than a million people are affected. Brazil, of course, the president doesn't want people to stop work because work is connected with the economy. If people are not working, then the economy won't grow. Yes, we have to think about the economy, but we have also to be very careful about not getting infected. So follow the MCO. Then I think you can still be good to grow the economy. You can still contribute, but without having to spread the disease.
Yeah, definitely. Because we should think of other people and not just ourselves. And because that's just being selfish, there's more people around us that can catch the virus from an individual, example me. So we should think about other people instead of just thinking of ourselves, right?
Right.
So you are obviously a very, very good public speaker. So how do you prepare yourself before you speak at an event?
Before I speak,
Mhm.
mhm. Well, I read a lot, so I have a lot of things to say. Politics, economy, finance. Thing I read a lot, so I have a lot of things that I can speak about whenever I have to give a talk or speech. I don't often write my speech. I speak off the cuff. Um, but occasionally I would write, but not often. Mostly I speak off the cuff because most of the questions people ask me, I already read the answers somewhere, so I can answer. You ask me about the epidemic or pandemic. I know. As a doctor, of course, I know something. I'm not a practicing doctor. They've taken away my certificate, but I still remember my lessons. So I can speak on many subjects because I've had long experience. I'm 90 years old now. So I've been in politics about 80 years. So a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge have been gathered, which I can fall back on if I'm asked question.
Yeah. So you said just now you studied medicine, right? You are a doctor. So I'm interested to know, did you aspire to be a doctor when you were younger, or did you want to be something else?
I wanted to be a lawyer. Yeah. I didn't want to be a doctor. In fact, my mother told me, don't become a doctor or a police inspector. You get no sleep. You see? So, but I was given a scholarship to study medicine. I cannot argue. They asked me to study medicine. I went to study medicine. I
Mhm.
graduated as a doctor. It's not my choice, but circumstance. In those days, if you are given a scholarship, you don't ask questions, you just take. So I'm a doctor because I was very lucky because in those days, not many scholarships. I couldn't, my parents cannot send me to the university. So I was lucky to get a scholarship.
Yeah, definitely. And talking to your of your younger self, if you could go back to the past and give your younger self some advice, what would you say?
Well, I think among the things that you should be is to learn what is good and what is bad and avoid bad things. You must have a culture, a value system that promotes good things. For example, don't take what doesn't belong to you. That is very important. That you have to work hard, and that you have to be kind to less fortunate people, things like that. That's what I learned when I was young by my mother. And then, of course, I read a lot of story books, English story books, lots of heroes in the books. I thought I would like to be like these heroes. So I learned what is it that heroes do. They are very brave. They take risks, calculated risks. They they know a lot about things. So I try to be like them, but of course not to become a hero, but at least to have good value.
Yeah, definitely. So we all know you as the fourth and seventh Prime Minister of Malaysia. So what was your journey to become the Prime Minister of Malaysia?
Well, the first time I never thought I would be prime minister. I thought that even to become a minister would be impossible for me. But I was lucky because I was active in politics, and Tun Razak saw. I think he was. Uh, I knew him, and he was the one who gave me places and opportunities. For example, when I was expelled from UMNO, he allowed me to come back.
Yeah, okay. So okay, so you were Prime Minister of Malaysia. Were you tired of managing Malaysia?
Well, you don't feel tired when you do something you like. This is very important. If you don't like the work, even if it is very light, you feel tired. But when you like doing something, you don't feel tired. So that is why I work long hours, morning until night. I work because it is interesting, and the best part of it is not the pay; it is accomplishment. When you want to do something and you do it and it is good, then you feel very satisfied. Job
Mm,
satisfaction.
yeah, everything has their pros and cons, right? So everyone has their strengths and their weaknesses. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses?
Well, I think very difficult to describe what strength I have, but I think my love for acquiring knowledge has enabled me to become to be able to well answer question like yours and also by other people. That is my strength. I can usually tackle question. That is my strength. My weakness is that some of these new technologies, I take a long time to learn, to understand, and to operate. For example, when the first this uh, handphone, this mobile phone was introduced, I find it difficult to believe that this mobile phone can actually record and retain all the information that I can talk to somebody my grandchildren in America. I can talk to them as if they are next door. I couldn't believe it, but now I'm learning that all these things which were impossible before is possible now. So my weakness is very slow learning.
Ah, okay. So you're talking about phones and technology and don't know how to work them. Is that why you bring a small notepad to everywhere you go?
Well, that is a pad on which I write by hand. I don't use the phone to type out the message because before there was no such phone. So I have a small book like this which I carry about. You know why I carry this. I don't trust my memory. Don't trust. I think people should not trust their memory. They forget. But when you write down, you don't forget. So I write down everything that I see, that I want to comment. So when I go to the cabinet, I took up my book, I read what this minister has done, that minister has done. Everything is written in the book. So
Ah,
your memory is not trustworthy. You always forget. You forget details. But if you write, you don't forget.
that's a good tip for everyone to follow because I'm sure a lot of people can't remember a lot. So I think we should make sure that we bring a small notepad to everywhere we go and record everything down.
But
I
for
That's
this,
good.
you use your handphone. You
Yeah,
use the handphone.
yeah, but now technology is like too much for me. It's crazy. So, what is a fun fact about you that most of us probably wouldn't know?
uh, a fun
Fact.
fact.
Mhm. For example, I know you have two birthdays. Oh yeah, I read that you had two birthdays, and then one was in December, and then one is in July.
Hmm.
I
You,
think
you, know, you know why I have two birthdays?
yeah.
You
Why?
see, my father was a school teacher, and he always thinks about admission into school. And admission is about age. If you're born somewhere in the middle of the year, you cannot say, "Oh, I'm already 12." No, say, "No, no, no, you're not 12 yet. You're 11." But if you're born in December, you can dispute the your age is always this as given in the date of in the December. So when you are born in December, you can go and register your son for school and say, oh, he is 7 years old, and you look at, you don't dispute. If it is somewhere in the middle of the year or at the beginning of the year, you say he is seven, but I say no, 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 you are only six plus seven, six plus, so you are not seven yet. But December, no dispute. So he registered all his children were born in December. And then when we check on the actual date, we found that it was July. So that's why I have two birthdays. Real
Ah,
birthday is July. The registered birthday is December.
And talking about your birthday, this is okay. So I painted this yesterday. This is the
Oh,
second time I painted this. The first
mhm.
time I sent it to you for your birthday last year.
Yeah, you
This is the
did.
one I painted. Yeah, I did.
Thank you. Yeah.
Maybe after
I
this video, you can sign it for me because
yeah.
yeah, last year I sent one to you. It was like bigger. Yeah, for your birthday. It was your birthday gift.
This picture,
Yeah,
this picture,
exactly like.
I always tell people is because I have a toothache. I have a toothache, so that's why it's like that.
This pose. So Tun M and Tun City are so loving and are staying strong at more than 60 years. Am I right?
Right.
So what are your favorite things about Tun City?
Well, she's very tolerant. You know, as a politician, I come back late at night. Sometimes I have to go somewhere else. She never complained. She is very supportive of my politics and my way of life.
That's good. So we would I think a lot of people would love to hear your thoughts and share your opinion on relationship advice or relationship tips to stay strong at 60 years.
Yeah, I think we must learn to be tolerant because when you are with somebody for a long time, you get annoyed with little things. For example, my wife, she's always late. You know, I am ready to go, but she is still dressing, making up, and all that. I have to wait. And when coming home, also, I am already in the car. She is still talking with other people. When she meets anybody, she greets the person and asks, "Oh, how are your family?" And things like that. And then I'm in the car. So these are things that sometimes annoy me in the beginning. But now I said she's going to be like that anyway. There's no way I can change her. So I have to accept that's the way she is. That you have to be to tolerate the way she believes she lives.
How did the two of you meet anyways?
How do I have to
Yeah, how did the two of you meet?
meet? Or
Yeah.
we went to medical school way back in 1947. So she was the only Malay girl among the crowd. Nowadays, lots of Malay girls go to university, but in those days, to have one is already a remarkable thing. So she was the only Malay girl, and there were 6 Malay boys. So we compete.
Okay. That's good. And oh yeah, my aunt really wants to know the answer to this question. She keeps reminding me, ask. Okay, so she saw that you raise a lot of chickens in your house, right? So do you have any other pets?
We, I used to keep cats, but the cats scratched the sofa. So I have to give up on that. But you know this chicken, this is a small chicken. It's a ayam serama. Ayam serama is small, is very beautiful, very colorful, and the eggs are also very small, and it multiplies very quickly. So I decided to keep that the chicken, not other things anymore.
Are there any difficult times of raising a chicken? Because I've never raised a chicken before and I'm very curious.
No, no, nothing very difficult because, but you must be, uh, you must protect your chicken because sometimes wild dogs they come and catch the chicken. Sometimes snakes also. You see, so you have to put them in an enclosure so that dogs and snakes cannot come in. Also, you have to put a net above because sometimes chicken tend to fly out of the net, out of from the top, and then they may go far away from the house, and then they get eaten up by dogs and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And there's yeah, you have to protect your chickens. That's all. You have to protect your chickens. Do you like music? Because I don't
Well,
look at you like someone who's like very interested in the music industry.
I like music. I'm very old fashioned. I like old songs. I cannot appreciate modern music, all these pop songs and things like that. So I still like to listen to Piramli and also to Bruri Marantika, and Sharifa Aini. These are my favorite singers. And sometimes at night before going to bed, I listen to one or two songs and then I go to sleep.
What is your favorite song?
My favorite song. We have a favorite song. Always, always.
Always.
Uh,
Can you sing it, please?
I'm loving you always.
Yay!
The-
You're a pretty good singer. I'm not gonna lie. You're a good singer. So you like music, right? So have you ever learned any music instrument?
well, when I was a small boy, uh, my brother has is placed in a small band, music band, and they keep the instrument in my house. So in the daytime when they are not using the instrument, I play. I play the trumpet. I play the this the, what do you call it, saxophone, and what just blowing instrument, wind instrument.
Well, which one is your preferred instrument to play?
Well, I like the saxophone.
Hmm, saxophone. That's nice. Since okay, so I know you have a lot of children and grandchildren. So since you have so many family members, how do you spend your quality time with them?
I don't have much quality time spent with them because they don't live with us. You know, my children got married. They moved to their own houses. Their children were brought up, but once in a while they bring the children to the house. Like for Raya, for example, they will come. Sometimes they come for dinner in the house, but the amount of time I could spend with them is quite short, quite limited because I am very busy. I have lots of work to do, so I don't get to spend quality time with them. But we love our children, and I suppose they love us.
Ah, okay. So I see we have a question from the floor. As an elder statesman in the world, you have witnessed many world events. What are the highlights of your careers that you are proud of at this moment and one thing that you regret the most?
Yeah, I visited many countries, but the one that impressed me most was a visit to Japan in 1961. That was about 14 years after the end of the war. I was very impressed by Japan because despite the fact that they had gone through a war and many of their cities were destroyed, but they were rebuilding, working very hard, rebuilding their country. And I always use Japan as a model. In fact, when I introduced the Look East policy, it is because I think that if we are like the Japanese, we are going to develop our country very well. So that was the most impressive uh, period visit that I had to other countries. But there are countries, of course, which are great disappointment. They are not well organized. Roads are very bad and things like that. Some of these were in the early days of African independence. The countries are very poorly developed.
Yeah, definitely. So currently you are 94 years old, which is so amazing that you are so fit and so healthy. Now I want to know, what was your childhood like?
Childhood. Well, I we were no- we are not rich, we are not poor, we are somewhere in the middle. I was raised in the house in those days. Is the families are very disciplined. We always uh, well the my parents were very strict. My father behaves like a school teacher, and I was restricted. I couldn't go around too much. But later on, my parents allowed me to use a bicycle to go to school. Then, of course, I could visit the town and see the town more. But we were quite poor, and therefore I find that I couldn't spend money buying anything that is not necessary. My pocket money at one time was 2 cents per day. So that was, but it was fun. I like going to school. I like to see my friends. We have good relation, my friends, until they become old. Yeah, we're still friendly. So that is the part of my youth that I like most.
Mm. So you were born and raised in Alor Kedah, and you are obviously Malaysian. So what are your favorite Malaysian dishes you have?
Well, there is a place that I like very much. It's called Mi Bandung.
Oh,
You go to Bandung, you cannot find the mi. Only in Malaysia we have mi Bandung, and I even learned how to make it, and I
oh.
used enjoy it very much.
So do you like to cook?
Yes, sometimes before, not now. Before I used to cook fried rice. I cook mi bandung, and before that, also I learned to prepare steak and things like that. That was in those days. No more, no more.
So do you think that you were a good cook?
Well, I like the my cooking. I don't know about other people. What happened, of course, is when I begin to cook, all my children suddenly had engagement outside the house. So they want to run away from my cooking.
Yeah, at least you yourself enjoyed it. That's the most important.
Right.
So thank you so much for being here. I really, really, really appreciate your time. It has been a pleasure talking to you, Tun M, and I wish you the best of luck and stay healthy, stay safe. So do you have any advice for the young generation and for the audience?
One advice is love your country. Okay.
Mhm. Definitely. We will all love Malaysia forever. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I'm so honored to be talking to you right now. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.